Thank you, Tom and Don. It's wonderful to have with us here today. And it's wonderful to have you living in Door County now. I just understand also, so it's wonderful. And thank you, Carol Soper, for always making sure that we've got wonderful music in our service. I don't know where you find all these people, but it's amazing. It's amazing. So good morning, everyone. My name is Bob Lindahl, and I'll be your service leader today. Yes. Oh. Oh, as soon as I did it. Sarah, I wonder if I could have one of the lapel mics. Maybe we could change to that as we get going here. So, while we're waiting for that, I'll just talk over the noise, okay? But so today we celebrate freedom and emancipation. As Unitarian Universalists, we practice a free faith. We're not distracted by external authorities, and we choose and express our faith in our own way. Freedom to choose the faith, to change it, or reject it altogether. A free faith protects us from the state of social pressure to conform. A free faith allows us to interpret life's truths and to draw from various sources, from religious texts, personal experiences, and philosophical ideas, to develop our own understanding of what it means to be fully human. A free faith allows us to engage in spiritual practices that are most meaningful to each of us and to have faith without a doctrine. A free faith is open to learning about where others have come from in their struggle. Where you're from, perhaps anyone have any other announcements? If you do, Terry Good will bring the microphone around. So, anyone have an announcement? Somebody has to have an announcement.
Sorry, on? Okay. My name is Gwen Gray Boys, and just to let people know, the Environment and Building and Grounds Committee are going to tackle the front of the fellowship building. We have a garden bed preparation this coming Tuesday from like noon to 3. There's going to be some logistical things we need to work on because we're going to have a permanent cement walkway placed from the front emergency exit we need to accommodate. And then we'll probably have one more bed prep session later in the week, and then the bushes and the plants arrive on June 2nd. So I'll try to fill in some of these dates and times in the midweek e-blast, but please feel free to bring your rakes and hose and kneeling pads and gloves, and there's plenty of work for all.
Hi, Judy Brudd. I think many of you know in this congregation that Mike and I, on behalf of Indivisible, have reached out to various groups in our community that are experiencing certain trauma in the current administration and the things that are going on. And we've become part of the kitchen cabinet for Open Door Pride, which has been a wonderful experience. We've been doing that ever since the election. And with that group, along with Northern Door Pride, PFLAG, and of course Mike and I, mostly as observers, have planned a wonderful, wonderful seminar. It's called Seek to Understand. It's a 4-part panel, presentation. One, an immigrant experience will be talked about by Luca Fuentes, and we've had him here as a speaker. 2, being black here, the truth, intention, and tools for change, and what it's like to live in Door County. And our esteemed speaker will be doing that part of the panel. Effective allyship. The idea there is that there are things that we as a supportive community can do to reach out to folks who are struggling. And so there'll be some tips and ideas for doing that. And finally, a gendered experience, listening and learning. And that'll be talking about basically trans and other challenges that that community has. The date of this seminar is June 19th, Bailey's Harbor Town Hall, 6:30. I'm really hoping to see folks come to this to support these communities in our county. And I will put this up on the bulletin board so you don't have to memorize all of it. But it will be on June 19th, 6:30, Bailey's Harbor Town Hall. Thank you.
Thank you. Tom?
Good morning. I'm Tom Foster, and it's our great pleasure to be invited back to perform for you this morning. When we learned that Tracy was going to be speaking today about Juneteenth, we opted to select music of either African American composers or performers. The first selection that we played this morning was by Erroll Garner, who was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and he grew up playing the piano by ear and came to international acclaim as a pianist, a jazz pianist who created his own very, very distinct style that was never imitated by anyone because it was uniquely his own. He couldn't read a lick of music. And the tune that we started with the prelude this morning, Misty, is probably his most well-known piece. And somebody actually wrote that down for him and added lyrics to it. The piece that I'm going to be playing for the moment of reflection during the offertory is by Scott Joplin, who fell into oblivion until the 1970s when his music was resurrected for the motion picture The Sting. And then he suddenly came back to life. His story is really quite fascinating. He was born in the late 19th century, and he became known as the King of Ragtime, which is a distinctly American music. We don't really have a lot of music that belongs to us in this country. Most of it in the classical realm was imported from Europe. But ragtime is distinctly our music along with jazz, and he considered his music to be just as serious as classical music and had just a bit of disdain for his music being considered honky-tonk and ragtime. He really felt like it was fit for the concert hall. And along with the 40 plus some odd rags that he wrote a couple of operas, and he wrote some symphonies, and I'm very happy to play his music for you today. This rag is probably one of the most intimate that he's written, and maybe lesser known. Finally, our postlude this morning, Say a Little Prayer. We chose this because it was somehow fittingly appropriate for church, so to speak. And but it was composed by Burt Bacharach, but most importantly made famous by Dionne Warwick, who was a real champion of his music. Dionne Warwick was one of his favorites, as I'm sure many of you know. Okay, so thank you for listening to all that.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Donna.
Some of you may recall that I was in a production called The Hallelujah Girls back in December, and we unfortunately had to cancel the last weekend of performances due to illness in the cast. About half of the cast became ill at that time, so we canceled, but we're bringing it back for 2 weekends. The first being next weekend, the 30th, is our opening night. And then we skip a weekend, and then the following weekend in June, we'll be doing performances. So if you missed a chance to see it back in December, you have another chance. I hope to see many faces there. It's a wonderful comedy. One of the playwrights used to write for the Golden Girls, so there's lots of good comedic bits there, and it's been a joy to work on this again. Thank you. It's going to be performed at the Door County Arts Center, which is where Rogue Theater's home is, across from the ADRC in Sturgeon Bay.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, thank you, Terry. Just a few other items before we light the chalice this morning. Please remember to silence your phones if you haven't done so already. And if you're having difficulty hearing, please raise your hand. Anybody having difficulty when I'm talking through this mic? Okay. Following today's service, please join us for refreshments in the gathering room. And come on back here when you hear the chimes ringing, and those will ring 10 or 15 minutes after the service is over. We'll meet over in this corner to talk more with Tracy. And we welcome again Tom Foster to the piano and Don Teig on the trumpet. And we're so happy you can be with us today. We also welcome back our speaker, Tracy Robertson. Tracy serves as a co-founder and executive director of a grassroots nonprofit social justice organization in Oshkosh. She has also developed and facilitated anti-racism education and training across the United States and Canada. She's a community organizer, an activist, and a respected expert on the subject of racial equity. Tracy's received numerous commendations, including being named one of the 44 most influential African Americans in Wisconsin in 2017. So we welcome you again, Tracy. Good to have you with us. We'll begin this morning by lighting our chalice, and Jane Wise will help us with that this morning. This is from a Unitarian in Portland. Flame of fire, spark of the universe that warmed our ancestral hearth. Flame of fire, spark of the universe that warmed our ancestral hearth. Agent of life and death, symbol of truth and freedom. May we strive to understand ourselves and to serve each other in this earthly home. Our hymn this morning, I think, will be a very effective entrance into our service, but we're going to have to talk it through just a little bit before we begin. So if you would open, before standing, open your hymnals to 1037, please. And I'd encourage you to keep things simple and straightforward. I would encourage you, as you're singing the congregational response, to focus on the first line that you see, the first line of sung music that you see, where we forgive ourselves and each other. Just focus on that. That will be sung after each spoken part. And I will be speaking the parts. So after we finish with the spoken part, we'll go into singing that response together. But that will be the simplest way to do it. Now, if you'd rise, I'm going to ask Tom to play through before we begin to go through the entire piece. I'm going to ask Tom to play through the melody for your part first. Then we'll sing it, and then we'll start in. Okay? Okay. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For remaining silent when a single voice would have made a difference, we forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For each time that our fears have made us rigid and inaccessible, we forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For each time we have struck out in anger without just cause, we forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For each time that our greed has blinked or blinded us to the needs of others, we forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For the selfishness that sets us apart and alone, give ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For falling short of the admonitions of the Spirit, we forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For for losing sight of our unity. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For those and for so many acts, both evident and subtle, which we have fueled the illusion of separateness, we begin again with each other. We begin again in love. Remain standing for our unison affirmation and doxology. We gather together to seek knowledge and wisdom, to explore freely the vast reaches of mind and spirit, to celebrate within a caring community those truths, ancient and modern, which give meaning and direction to our lives. From all that dwell below the skies, let songs of hope and faith arise. Let peace, goodwill on earth be sung, in every land, by every tongue. You may be seated. So, we're less likely to feel separate and alone when we take time to know one another. And sharing our joys and concern is one way to get to know one another and to deepen our community. So we invite you to spread those joys and ease your burdens and spread your concerns also. Do we have anyone who has a joy or concern this morning?
Hi, Alan Kapishke. My joy is that we are on the cusp of yet another really exciting arts season in Door County. TAP has already had a really successful production. DCA has just broken ground on their new annex. And I'm here to promote a couple of things that I'm involved with. The Door Kinetic Arts Festival has a season announcement party on June 6th. At the newly refurbished granary that's just opened up. And TAP has their annual fundraiser June 29th at the relatively new Muse down in Sturgeon Bay. Both of them will have entertainment and auction items, and I'm happy to fill you in on any other details afterwards.
Austin?
Hello, my name's Austin. I work at the Door County Adventure Center as a zipline guide, and yesterday I gave my first real tours. I gave 3 tours, and I got a tip. Got my first tip. Let's go.
All right.
All right, that's all. Thank you.
Okay. All right. That's a joy. All right.
This afternoon, there is a concert of Colin and Friends at 2 o'clock at Ephraim Moravian Church with steel panist Liam Teague, we all know him, and harpist Faye Seaman, we all know her. And because of their creativity and how they compose and play their instruments, you are going to hear sounds you've never heard. I promise you that. Thank you.
Good.
I want to give a little more of an introduction to Lynn and Holly. Lynn was a member of our fellowship for quite a while before she got dragged to Massachusetts. She was a longtime program chair here, did a fabulous job, and just did the best work at getting little old ladies together for pizza on the beach at the end of whatever that road was. So we had a good time. We miss her dearly. And Holly came, I think, as a volunteer to Northern Sky for many years, and became eventually a Peace Corps volunteer in Ukraine, and now has done tremendous work out east with youth, I think. So we are so happy to have her.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we'll move along then. It's now time for our offertory. We would encourage you to give generously to the work of our fellowship. You can do so today, or you can do so online at uufdc.org. So at this time, we'll begin our offering. Are you okay holding this wire so we can-
I think I'm going to just use it because I have a laptop. You can use that mic because I have a laptop. Is that okay?
Okay,
I can
it
do
may
both.
hum, it may hum, or it just, I'll tell you. what better way to get us into our moment of quiet as we think about the message for this morning, prepare for the message that Tracy will be giving us.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Small one? Okay. So I, is it on? Okay, you can hear me? Everybody can hear me? Nobody can hear me. Okay. It says on. Hello, hello, hello. Hello? Oh, okay, maybe. Hello? That was my very low-tech solution. I just turned it on and turned it off. Good morning, everyone. So I want to start off with a bit of appreciation, a bit of an apology, and a bit of an ask. So my appreciation is to a number of people here at the UU. First of all, I'd like to just say, I don't know how you knew that Don and Tom were some of my favorite musicians here in the county. So I feel like I'm so appreciative to you for having them there, and to the two of you for being so thoughtful in your selections today. You may not know this about me. I'm a native Chicagoan, and I moved around a lot, but I spent some time at Scott Joplin Elementary School. So I'm always appreciative of my opportunity to be here, to stand before you wonderful people at the UU. I feel like you're family. I've been hanging out with you guys for a long time. Yeah, so thanks for having me back. My apology is Sarah is amazing and is always on task and always, sends all the stuff to me in advance. And that bio, yeah, there's some things about it that are true. Actually, all of it's true, but some of it is a little dated. So I told her today, she did send it to me and asked me to look at it, but I didn't do my homework. So all those things about me are true, but some of them are really dated. I no longer am the co-founder. Well, I am still the co-founder, I guess. But I don't longer work at Oshkosh. Cindy to the rescue. Let's see. My low-tech method didn't work. I no longer work at Fit Oshkosh. I actually live in Sturgeon Bay here in the county, and I work here in the county. So I promised her I would send her an updated bio, and I apologize that I did not do my homework. I've been busy planning a Juneteenth event. I want to just thank you for your thoughtful selections of verses and songs for today. They were thoughtful and meaningful, and I appreciate that so much. So that's my apology. Here's my ask. I am born and raised on the south side of Chicago and lived in Oshkosh, lived here, lived in Chicago, been all over the place. But I grew up in Black church. And one of the things, I think I've talked about this before when I've come here, is that in Black church, we're not quiet. We're very loud and demonstrative, and we really do praise and worship in a way that impacts me personally tremendously. Who's been to Black church? Yeah, okay, some of you have, okay. So I'm gonna ask you to do something that's gonna make you very uncomfortable, but it's gonna make me feel welcome, and I know that's important to you, right? All right, so if you can stand up, I want you to stand up, and I want you to clap your hands like there is a fire in the middle. You wanna put it out, right? So we're gonna just do that for a few minutes. So just welcome me. Oh, I love it. Oh, and amen. Okay, thank you. You can sit down now. I appreciate that. I won't be before you long. I just want to talk to you a little bit about Juneteenth. What is it? Why are we why here and why now? And what you can expect if you choose to be a part of this historic event. So Juneteenth is also considered Freedom Day. It became a federal holiday in 2021. So it's still in its infancy in terms of its federal recognition. Let's pray it stays that way. So the Civil War was technically made enslavement of Africans illegal. But enslavement of Africans persisted in Confederate states long after that. In fact, it was 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation that Union soldiers, one in particular, Gordon Granger, marched into Galveston, Texas to announce that enslaved people in Confederate states were officially free. So these enslaved folks in other parts of the United States continued to be enslaved, to work as slaves across the United States 2.5 years after they were emancipated by President Lincoln. So Gordon Granger and a number of largely black soldiers came in to make the announcement, and that's when we began to officially celebrate Juneteenth. Juneteenth is a combination of the month June and 19, so thus the word Juneteenth. The celebration was a pursuit of true freedom for all, and a continued pledge to remember the past. And I think today more than ever, it's important for us to remember the past. I've been spending a lot of time recently studying history, largely because Black history, but all history, largely because there's been a big attack on history, right? The things that are happening at the Smithsonian, the things that are happening across the country. So I feel an obligation to learn as much history as I possibly can, and certainly Black history is one of those things that's been really important for me. So on that day, about 160 years ago, 250 enslaved Africans got the news that they were free legally. And the principles of Juneteenth are self-determination, citizenship, and democracy. I'm going to say that again. Self-determination, citizenship, and democracy. Wow. So Juneteenth really became a powerful reminder of the resilience, the culture, and the contributions of Black Americans, and a meaningful opportunity for communities to come together in remembrance, celebration, and unity. The proclamation that the soldiers came in that day reads in part, "The people of Texas are informed that in accordance with the proclamation from the Executive of the United States, all slaves are free. This involves an absolute equality in rights and rights of property between former masters and slaves, and a connection heretofore existing between them becomes that between employer and hired laborer." That's what they heard on that day. So why here? Why in Door County, a largely white community, and why now? I think this is important to talk about. Verna Myers is one of my heroes in the anti-racism equity space. And she says, I'm going to just read exactly what she says. "Juneteenth has become more widely recognized in recent years, commemorating its powerful legacy and fostering hope for a more equitable society that confronts its past transgressions. Amid the dog whistle politics and anti-DEI rhetoric of today, organizations have a responsibility to steadfastly acknowledge Juneteenth and commit to equitable initiatives that pave the way for a better future." I think that deserves reading again. She says that Juneteenth has become more widely recognized in recent years, commemorating its powerful legacy and fostering hope for a more equitable society that confronts its past transgressions amid the dog whistle politics and anti-DEI rhetoric of today, organizations have a responsibility to steadfastly acknowledge Juneteenth and commit to equitable initiatives that pave the way for a better future. So that's one of the reasons why we believe that Juneteenth is going to be important here and now in Door County. But I'm going to tell you a couple of personal stories. So back in 2017, 2018, I came to Door County to speak. At the time, I lived in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, and I took that drive up north and was like, this community, actually I came in the winter. I was angry about that. The roads were horrible that day. I think there had been some ice storm. But despite my hectic drive up, my harrowing drive up, I should say, I fell in love with this community. And so, like most of you, I came back for the community's beauty. I came back to work. I came back. I invited friends up. I thought, this is a place that everybody needs to see. It's so beautiful here, right? A chain of events made it possible for me to become a full-time permanent citizen in Door County in 2022. And even then, before I moved here, I'd made a couple friends here, people like Cindy, a couple folks I was friendly with. But black and brown people in the community were saying, Tracy, it's beautiful, but we have some discontent. It's not a place where I, as a black or brown presenting person, feel comfortable. And so although Door County is beautiful aesthetically, it's a difficult place for some people, including me, to call home. Before I moved here, people were saying, we should do a Juneteenth event. And I was like, yes, good luck with that. Let me know how it goes. And then I moved here and people were like, you should do a Juneteenth event. And I was like, nope, I'm busy. But I decided to do it for a couple of reasons. And here are a couple of reasons why. Recently, I've experienced 2 racialized incidents. One was, we have a resident and scholar at Hope Church. Some of you may know him. He's spoken here before, Ajamu Butler. Ajamu Butler is here doing he's a resident and scholar at Hope Church, doing great work there. And I picked him up for an event they had on Thursday night. And he and I jumped in my car, and we turned the corner to head over to Hope Church, and someone gave us the finger. And we thought, well, wasn't because we were speeding or like it wasn't a traffic jam, right? And initially I thought the gentleman was waving to me because that's what people here do, right? They see you and they say hi. But then when I realized he was like looking at me very angrily and giving us the finger, I thought, well, that's a great welcome for Ajamu Butler, right? Who spent 2 weeks here. And clearly this was based on racism. The other thing is, do people know what a Hallmark movie is? When you think of a Hallmark movie, what are some of the words that come up for you? What was that? White people. Okay, what else? Love. What else? Community. What else? Orchard. Orchard. Okay, I see. There's always a farmer. I'm repeating this for those of you online. There's always a farmer who comes to save the family orchard, the family Christmas tree farm. They have a formula, right? What else? Anything else? Cheesy. Okay, all right.
Everybody's wearing always brand new clothes and everything is perfectly clean.
Everyone's wearing brand new clothes and everyone's perfectly clean. How many? Usually a token person of color and a person who identifies, a token person who identifies as LGBTQ. Okay. That sounds about right. How many of you know that we filmed a Hallmark movie here in Oshkosh, in Sturgeon Bay? Yeah, people knew that happened, right? Well, after that happened, I got a phone call from a family in Sturgeon Bay. They're parents of a biracial teen. And that biracial teen had gone to the filming site because she was fangirling over some actor there. I don't know who it was, right? But apparently in the cast, there was one black actor. We got our token. Yeah. No. There was one black actor, apparently, according to this family. And while the young lady was standing there, high schoolish aged child was standing there, someone drove by and yelled to that actor N. I don't want to say the word, but you guys can infer what I mean, right? And apparently this young lady she was very upset by this. So much so that the parents called me to say, I think you need to know that this happened. That happened here on our peninsula, in our county, right? That happened here I got the phone call maybe 2 weeks ago, right? The thing that happened with me and Ajimu happened Thursday, a few days ago. So we know that, I believe that most of the people I've met here are very well-meaning people. They've been kind to me. They've been welcoming to me. I've met lots of people and lots of dogs, right, since I moved here. But we have some work to do. We are not living up to what we know to be our Hallmark movies, right? We've got some work to do. The other thing is that I've been hearing some murmurs from black families about events in schools, events in faith communities, events across the county that have given some of those black and brown parents pause. So we have an opportunity to do better. Here's my other motivations, and my mother will tell you that that's true. When somebody tells me I can't do a thing, I'm going to get it done. And so we've met with some resistance by parties who shall remain nameless in having this Juneteenth event. So because people said that I can't, and because people have set up barriers, I will. Right? Yeah. So I've been asked to name the folks who have been giving me some resistance. So I'm going to do it because I ain't scared. When we applied for our license for the park, we applied for the license in August or September of last year, and we were not getting responses, so I started emailing and copying people on those emails, and we were still not getting responses. So I copied more people on those emails, and we were not getting responses, and so I began to copy more people on those emails, and we were not getting responses. And finally, it took from me and Sandy. Do people know Sandy Brown? Yeah, you know Sandy Brown. She's with PFLAG and League of Women Voters. I took her with me to the city to say, what's up with our license? And it wasn't until we showed up that things got moving. That was earlier this year. So we experienced a bit of a delay in terms of our sponsorship and everything because we had some difficulty getting our license. We were told when we were there that it was because of the election and they were busy. I don't think it's a coincidence that the week after, maybe the day after Sandy Brown and I were there, they changed all of the rules about vending and who could be food vendors. Now, I imagine they were working on that beforehand, but I wonder if that's tied to delay in some way. So we cannot have food vendors at this event. Okay, so I told. All right. Yeah, so we've experienced a few barriers along the way, and that's just inspired me to organize, to make it happen, ensure that it happens. It has to happen because people said it shouldn't and it couldn't, and it's going to happen. Thanks to you, Hope is a sponsor. UU was a sponsor of the event, so thank you for that sponsorship. It meant a lot in helping us bridge our sponsorship gap. All right. Thanks, Cindy, for getting me in trouble. That might give me some solutions, would think. All right, excellent. So Juneteenth isn't just a commemoration. It's designed to spark conversations, to inspire action, for us to stand together for the sake of our future. Together, we can build a stronger, more equitable community. So people who look like me and identify like me can really move beyond the aesthetics of Door County to being able to have a successful and rewarding life here, right? All right, where was I? So one of the things I wanted to ask you to think about, and you don't have to answer out loud, but what does freedom and liberation actually look like? And can we achieve that here? For everybody that lives here. I'm going to give you a minute to think about that. We've had some really good conversations since I started coming here in 2017, 18. I remember one year we had a conversation where I was challenging the UU to think about reparations. Boy, were people uncomfortable. But even after that, I had some great conversations. People called me later and was like, I've been thinking about that conversation. And so I don't think that this conversation is too heavy for you to deal with. I see heads shaking, so people get what I'm saying. So let's think a little bit about kind of what Juneteenth's going to look like this year. Let me tell you, I'm really excited about it. So I mentioned that Ajamu Butler was here doing residency right now, scholar in residency at Hope Church. He's going to be our MC for the day. If you don't know who he is, I would encourage you to check him out at ajamubutler.com. So he's going to be our MC. He's going to be leading the events. He's an international speaker, done great work. We're going to have some African drumming that day. I'm really excited about that. Ajamu has a background in African drumming, so he's going to be bringing some of that to the fold. We're going to have a double Dutch competition. Who knows what double Dutch is? You all know what double Dutch is? Double Dutch is really rooted in the black community, so we're going to have a double Dutch competition. My sister is coming up from Chicago to lead that effort. She actually belongs to a double Dutch group. That's a thing of women who are 40 and over who double Dutch every week. What did I miss? I missed something. Okay. I love the enthusiasm. So we're going to be doing that. We're going to have some raffle prizes, some games, some activities, some face painting for the youth. And the face paints are going to say things like pride and joy. So we're really strategic about that. We're going to have a DJ. His name is Homer. He's from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And he's coming up and he's going to be playing music for us. So please come out. I took notes because I can talk all day. Okay, action steps for you guys. 1, think about how you can support this initiative financially. Remember, I mentioned that we had a little bit of delay getting things on board, and we've got a very small budget, but we haven't met our budgetary needs yet. Continue to educate yourselves about lesser known history facts, including Black history facts. Be really intentional about that. Vote and advocate against the policies that would set us back a lot, and just help us to make this Juneteenth. This is historic. Appleton has a Juneteenth. Green Bay has a Juneteenth. If you go to southern Illinois, Wisconsin, everybody has a Juneteenth event. This is our first. This is historic. So you can help us make this be really impactful, right? Another thing that you can do is volunteer. I have 2 very specific volunteer requests. One is I need somebody to take pictures. You do not have to be a professional photographer. I don't care if you take pictures on your little Apple phone, but take pictures. So I'm looking for someone to do that. We're also looking for some food sources. So I understand that we have some gardeners in the audience. So if you garden and have fruits and vegetables, we'd love to just have a table of fruits and vegetables where people can come grab food that day. So that would be an ask that I have in terms of volunteerism. There were a couple of quotes that I wanted to share with you guys, and now I'm not seeing them. Where are they? I love technology. Oh, I think I need to be online. That's why I can't see them. Well, there were 2 great quotes that I was going to share with you. One of them talked about the less of us. It's actually from the book of Matthew. I can't remember exactly what scripture. But oftentimes people will say to me, Tracy, there aren't that many Black people here. And I looked it up, and I came up with about 200 Black people here in the county. Some people have said less. Some people have said more. I don't think that number accounts for children who are biracial, who more times than not identify as Black. And I don't think it accounts for Black tourists, right? So we might be seeing more than that number in our prime, thank you, peak season. So we could have 500 triple that number in the county in our prime season, right? So we have an opportunity to show lots of people that we're not just talking about being inclusive. We really are an inclusive community. We really want you here. We know that your money means as much as all money's green. Right, so we talk about tourism here because that's a big, right? That's a big. We get a lot of money here over the peak season. So imagine what we could do. All money's green, and we could get more Black and brown people to come here and want to be here and feel safe here. So there is that quote from the book of Matthew that isn't here anymore. So that's everything I had to share. I apologize if that wasn't dynamic. I just wanted to come and give you some information, invite you to be on this journey with us. Send us well wishes that day for safety. That's something we're very concerned about. How we keep the people the visitors and the people at the event safe. We anticipate that there probably will be at least some people driving by with some harsh things to say. When I talked to the people at Open Door Pride, they said that during their first Pride, they had some interesting trucks driving around and intimidating. So it would be great to just keep this event in prayer. Make sure that everyone who comes here is safe and joins us that day. That would be another ask that I have. And again, just keep doing the research, keep thinking about history. I have 3 grandsons. I'm really concerned about what history is going to look like for them when they are getting older. So that's everything I had to share. Thank you for your attention. I appreciate you all.
Let's all say amen. Amen. Okay. So, thank you, Tracy. Wonderful.
Microphone, please.
We would ask you to open up your hymnals, please, to number 149. This seems like the appropriate hymn to sing on Juneteenth. Well, let's sing this one as if we're marching down the street in Sturgeon Bay, okay? You know it all, right? Lift every voice and sing till heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise to the lifting sky, resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of our faith that the dark path has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present brought us. Rising sun of the day begun, let us march on till victory is won. The road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn had died. Yet with the steady beat of weary feet, come to the place for which our Father's Son. We have come over away with the tears that have watered. We have come treading our path of blood that's altered. Out from the gloomy path till we stand at last, where the white gleam of our bright star is cast. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, Thou who hast taught us thus far on our way, Thou who hast by Thy let us into the light. Keep us forever in the path. We our feet stray from the places our God where they met thee. Lest our hearts drunk with the wine of the word we had taught thee. Straight thy heart, may we forever stand, true to our God, true to our native land. You may be seated. Invite Jane up again, please. So as we leave this holy place, may love bring light to every face. May the wisdom we have gained ignite our hearts in service until we return.